If you've watched a couple of my videos, then you know that I love gold farming, and currently my run with 20k gold is still on top of the leaderboard, though this will probably change with this update. Thanks to Jose Soto, you'll learn today how to farm gold in the game reliable and consistent, because if you would do what I do, it would go horribly wrong. The reason is quite simple. What I'm doing is not only very risky and relies on all the power-ups in the game, but you have to reset a lot of times. You don't want to have a method that just gives you a lot of gold once, but you want to have a method that gives you a decent amount of gold, but all the time. And I'm gonna show that to you. First of all, what you need to know about power-ups, because the point is to earn gold. Power-ups have a percentage increase every single time you buy any power-up. All the other ones get more expensive, as well as the one that you just bought if it has more levels. So, always make sure to first buy the one that costs the most. And I'm not saying you should buy the one that costs the most even if you don't want it, okay? Take the strongest ones that you can get, for example, a mount to have additional projectiles, amazing one. But if you want to have might and a mount, might is very cheap. First get a mount, then get might. You can reset at any time to get the other stuff that is still missing. Now into the gold farming itself. Remember what I said, reliable, consistent. There are a couple of heroes that can do that for you. Imelda is one of them. Imelda is probably actually the best one for that. The other one is Gennaro, because you just get an additional projectile, which makes you stronger. And the hardest part to survive is the early and mid game. Once you get to the late game, you're usually fairly safe if you have the right weapons, but the early and the mid game can really surprise you hard. And that's why I like Imelda so much, because her passive of 30% bonus experience is not only good to level up faster, and if you had a bad choice of weapons, you can, very soon get another one, but also leveling up once you're maxed out, that means there are no more upgrades to do, gives you 75 gold every single time. If you play on hyper mode and if you have 100% greed. So I recommend you, if you know you can beat the level, put all of your gold into greed, get it up to 50%, get the stone mask, play on hyper mode, 75 gold every single level. Now let's take a look at the build. The build that I recommend to you has the main core, being the Holy Wand, because you're forced into that, the Death Spiral, the Heaven Sword, and the Unholy Vesper. By the way, if these names sound weird to you and you don't know what's going on, take a look at the comment. I'll link a video where I have a full guide on all the weapons, all the items, all the evolved weapons. You can even see what stats change when you have a level up on a weapon, on all of them, and how to combine them. If you don't have the Clover yet, because that's kinda hard to get, you have to break light sources and it relies on luck, then I recommend you using Hellfire. For the items, go for Empty Tome to upgrade the Holy Wand, but it's also amazing. Candelabrador for the Death Spiral, but still really decent. Clover if you have the Clover unlocked, otherwise just go for Spinach with the Hellfire. And Spellbinder just for the Unholy Vesper. There are other options, but you might notice that all of these weapons have a ton of knockback. The point is to keep the enemies away from you. The point is not to kill as many enemies as possible. It's very important that you survive. Hey, did you know that only 3.2% of my audience is subscribed, and that obviously means the other 97% forgot it? Don't forget it. If you like the content, consider subscribing. Boss chests ramp up towards the end, and higher level boss chests give you a higher chance to get better rewards. So make sure not to die. It's way worse to do two 15-minute runs than it is to do a single 30-minute run, okay? Keep that in mind. We have 2 more weapons left and 2 more items. For the weapons you can pretty much go for whatever you get, for example if you get a bad drop. But if you want to have a comfortable run, I highly advise you to go for Garlic and Whip. They are not strong on their own, like they are not endgame weapons, but Garlic allows you to just walk through enemies and kill them without taking damage early on, which means you can reliably level up, quickly level up, and make sure that you have the power that you need to win further down the line. Whip, on the other hand, is not meant for the early game, but rather for the early to mid game. It has quite a significant amount of damage, and it has a serious knockback. It falls off rather quickly, so for both weapons I don't recommend you that you upgrade them, because they are simply better items in the game. But just to stay alive and just to get to the late game, it's definitely worth it. For the last 2 items, one is Duplicator, one of the best items in the game aside from Empty Tome. And the next one is the stone mask. Now if you don't know where to get the stone mask, you have to go into the Inlaid library, walk to the right side and stay on top of the floor. There will be a little hole where the stone mask will spawn eventually. It takes roughly 1 minute when you walk to the right side straight, and if it doesn't spawn there, just go to the next one where there's a hole and check if it's there. If not, repeat, and you can do this a total of 4 times. If it's not there until this point, then it means it didn't spawn. How I did it was quite simple. I just went to the Inlaid library, walked straight to the right side, waited until I see the stone mask spawn. Keep in mind, you have to stay on top of the floor, because otherwise you miss it. And then I just quit out of the game, because, you know, I had the stone mask unlocked, but I wasted a lot of time without leveling up. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Make sure to collect the experience. I always recommend breaking the candles that are on the floor. And if you see a little blue ball dropping out, that is called a vacuum. And that vacuum will collect all of the experience currently on the floor. Do that at the very end to collect all the experience that dropped that you couldn't collect, and it will give you quite a lot of experience to level up, and every single level up is 75 gold. Keep that in mind. That is the entire point of this build. There are other options and other routes that you can go to be stronger. You could build the Vandalier, which is considered to be one of the strongest weapons in the game. The problem is, it takes you 16 additional upgrades, which if you multiply that with 75 gold, costs you 1,200 gold. That is quite a lot, right? If you can survive either way, just stay with the easier option. Also, the Inlaid library does not only have the stone mask, but also the empty tome. Technically speaking, you could get 6 items, and then you walk to the left to get the empty tome. It's also at the top, but on a table. And then you walk to the right side, this time a bit longer, and you pick up the stone mask. But having 2 additional items means that you have to spend 8 times 75 gold to upgrade them. Again, very good if you need it, or very good if you don't need gold anymore, but it's bad if you want to gold farm. Now, I'm not saying always avoid these. Go for these if you need them. So, I hope this video will help you farm gold in the future. If you have any questions, just let me know. There are more ways than just this one to do gold farming, but I think this is the most reliable, most consistent, and overall best way to do it. Good luck!